Good morning and welcome to another session of Moments with Clara. If you've been following along with these short videos, you know that we've been talking about the grief diet and how it affects our ability to lose weight and in some instances our ability to eat and gain weight. We've talked about fear, we've talked about anxiety, and today we will talk about the third component, and that is guilt. This is something that we don't often hear talked about, and I believe the reason is because it's such a delicate subject. I'm going to take today to simply explain what the emotion of guilt is by telling a very personal story. And then tomorrow we will talk about some steps that we can take to walk through and take care of resolving some of the issues of guilt. And believe me, it's not easy. My story begins when I was 15 and I had a 13-year-old sister who became very ill with asthma. She had multiple asthma attacks. We were living in New Jersey, and she finally had 2 bouts of pneumonia at the age of 13, and she became very, very ill. The doctors suggested that she go away to live in a place called the Betty Backrack Home by the Sea. It was a home for children, I found out later, who were terminally ill. There were polio victims there. There were children, many children in iron lungs. And my sister was one who went there I was told, to heal her asthma. That the doctors believed that if she lived along the ocean and breathed the ocean breezes, that it would calm her respiratory illness and that she would perhaps get completely better, healed. At least that's what my parents told me. Well, every weekend for 6 solid months, we were consumed with just visiting my sister. We were allowed to take her out, but not home overnight. So every weekend we went and we spent the day with her, obviously. And after a while, that became, I don't know, I would say I became jealous. I'll use the word jealous of the attention that was given to her. Now, keep in mind, I was not told that she was terminal. I was told that she was going there to get better. Now, she was showered with gifts. She was showered with love. She was showered with attention. And I was 15, a gangly teenager at that time, who was in desperate need of a little bit of attention myself. My parents had divorced. Our home life was not nice to be around. Believe me, my mother had become very involved with nerve pills and alcohol to the point that she was pretty much immobilized. She had lost her job. We were living basically in poverty, and it was not a nice home life. So I became a bit jealous of the attention that my sister was getting every night, every day, every weekend. And I pouted one night. It was June the 6th. I pouted and pouted and pouted and begged my mother to please spend just a few hours with me and my little sister, who was 5 at the time. I said, please, can't we go see a movie? There was a Disney movie playing at the drive-in theater, and I begged and begged and begged to the point of where my mother said finally, fine, we will go see the movie. Get your sister, let's go. So the 3 of us went to the drive-in movie. It was a fun Disney movie. I don't even remember the name because of the trauma that followed. That night is a nightmare that has lived with me for a long, long, long time, will forever live with me. When we pulled into our driveway at the old farmhouse, there was a state police car with 2 state policemen standing on our porch, and I will never forget the words that my mother said to me. I was sitting in the front seat of the car. My baby sister was sitting in the back. My mother simply said, "Your sister is dead." I didn't know how to respond to that. I had no idea what she meant. I just looked at her, and the policemen both walked over to our car, and they explained that around 8:30 that evening, they had begun trying to get a hold of my mother and my father, and they could get a hold of neither one. My sister had been transported to the Atlantic City Hospital with a major asthma attack, and she died alone with no family because I had pouted and fussed to my mother so much that she gave in and took me and my younger sister to a movie. That guilt of my sister dying alone because of my selfish pouting traveled with me, lived within my heart, was part of me that ate at me every day of my life. It still bothers me, honestly, for over 50 years. It's hard for me to talk about it yet. What I wish had happened was that my parents would have sat me down and said, look, your sister is very sick. She is not expected to live. We are going to shower her with all of the love that we can. But that wasn't done. Instead, I was told repeatedly, your sister is here to get better. Carmela's going to get better. She'll be home with us, and all is going to be well in just a while longer. That's not what happened. And I carried the guilt, the horrible feelings of remorse and guilt all of these years until just a while, it's a little while ago that I've been able to actually feel at peace about this, although I will forever be sad. I tell this story not to tell a sad story, but to tell what I'm talking about when I talk about guilt. Tomorrow we will pick up here, and it will be a more positive moment with me. We will talk about ridding ourselves of this guilt and why it's important and the steps that we can take to do that. Thank you for allowing me to share my story with you today. I know it was rather lengthy. Thank you for bearing with me and for listening. Tomorrow we will talk about guilt, ridding ourselves of guilt, the importance of doing that, and the steps we can take to do it. Thank you for listening. I appreciate this time with you, and I will see you tomorrow for another Moment with Clara.